time in the batting lineup at the 6 hole, which doesn't sound particularly exciting. But what the 6 hole is, it's one of two things, right? It's either another opportunity to set the table, because you got the 7 and the 8 behind them, and then the AL and the 9, so it's another table setter, or it's an opportunity to clean up what the guys in front of you have not been able to do. So that's a really good position for him. He hit .331 from that position and drove in 19. He scored 23 runs. So it shows me that they view him in that position as almost like a turnover, a lineup turnover, right? I think that's a tremendous value. And again, he's another one of those guys, just like Reynolds. If you look at his batting average throughout his career in the minor leagues, 348, 309, 347, 385, 310, 344. He hit 334 last year in 92 games as a 22-year-old rookie in the middle of a playoff team's lineup. What's not to like? And again, at whatever I said it was, 280, 259, he's basically free. What's not to like? So, how about, I feel like I talk about some of these guys a lot, but one guy I do want to talk about that I really was surprised when I looked at his numbers. So, okay, before I get into this last guy, I want to talk about some other guys that made this list that maybe didn't get discussed. Austin Riley, I really like. He's going later on. Okay, I guess I just left out Austin Riley. No, there's got to be more. Lourdes Gurriel, Trent Grisham, I really like. You guys have heard me talk about Grisham a lot. I think he has 30-30 potential. He's going to get a lot of playing time in San Diego. But a rookie that I think, well, you know what, George? Riley is a little bit of a shot in the dark, but what I like about Riley is, one, his talent, but two, he really worked hard on plate recognition in the offseason, from what I read. Now, that could be a big old steaming pile of crap, right? But he really worked in particular on slider recognition off the plate and swinging at pitches that are realistically achievable. So the power is undeniable with Austin Riley. The discipline is what is in question. He put in the work, according to 2 or 3 articles that I read. I know that you get a lot of word speak early in the year. We all thought Pete Alonso couldn't hit a changeup last year, right? He ended up hitting 53 homers. I'm just saying, where you can draft Austin Riley, you could do a lot worse. You make me look it up. Give me 1 second. Austin Riley at an ADP of 301 is a reasonable investment. My only point. Trent Grisham at 301, another reasonable investment. For the record, I like Grisham more than I like Riley, but I like them both. I'm only going to talk about one rookie, but I feel like it's a rookie who is a little different than most. And I think he's different than most for a couple reasons. The first reason is he plays on a legitimately shitty team. So he's going to get playing time for sure. But two, I think he's one of these players that has really kind of developed over the last couple of years. And I think the tables might be set for a really good year out of Ryan Mountcastle. Now, Mountcastle, when he came up, was seen as just a power hitter. was seen as basically a one-trick pony, right? But he's really worked hard over the last 2 years. As a matter of fact, he hit 297 in 2018 and 312 last year. So, this whole prodigious power only thing out of Mountcastle, I just don't buy. I think that he's a pretty well-rounded player. Playing time should be secured because he's worked in the outfield. He can play third base. He can play first base. And the Orioles need all the help they can get. Even if Chris Davis has a resurgence. The news of Trey Mancini, now I know he's another one of those situations where he could be back because of the shortened season. Mountcastle plays, in my opinion. And his ADP is 401. Again, he's free. If you need an outfielder at the end of your draft, this is why I talked about a couple weeks back. I talked about strategy, and I told everyone, part of the reason, why I told everyone to wait on outfield. It's so deep. You're talking about a guy with potential 25 homer I say this year. I keep getting screwed up on that because we're not going to play a full season. But 25 to 30 homer potential in a vacuum out of Mountcastle with the potential to grow into a high average. I really like this kid, and the Orioles are a young, talented team. He's a large part of that. Everyone wants to talk about Mancini. Everyone wants to talk about Rutschman. Everyone wants to talk about some of those pitchers. Mountcastle's a big part of that. Austin Hayes. Mountcastle doesn't get talked about enough. So, that's what I got for this week. Other guys I didn't necessarily talk about. Arnie's not here anymore. I laughed at him as he was stumbling over Yoshimoto Tsugo this morning. That's how you pronounce it. I kid. I told him this morning, The Last Samurai. When I hear Yoshimoto, I always think of the member from The Last Samurai. But what I like about Tsugo is he's going to be multi-position eligible. Kevin Cash likes him, and I trust Kevin Cash's ability to scout talent. And he gets the moniker of a field rat, like a gym rat. So he is a doppelganger for Tom Cruise. Thank you, George. I'm glad someone else has seen that movie. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a really good movie. It's actually a true depiction of, I believe it was an ex-Civil War cast-off who went to Japan and was trying to take down the last of the samurais. Tom Cruise plays a character that defects U.S. wishes and goes over the... It's a really good... Anyway, we all do our things, right? If you need a couple hours and you haven't seen Last Samurai, I suggest it. But Yoshimoto Tsugo, potential, what are we talking about with this guy, right? You're talking about a 270 average. You're talking about 20 to 30 homers. But again, third outfield, possibly first eligible. So there's potential there, right? And the biggest sell point, he's playing for the Rays. The Rays are going to score a ton of runs. He's going to be involved in those runs because he's going to hit in the middle of that lineup. The other guy I want to mention is Shogo Akiyama. I love this kid. He's a kid in that he's 29 years old. Another one of those guys is a really hard worker. Seems to be the front runner to beat out Senzel for the whatever you want to call left field, center field job, right? But again, top of the lineup for a really good team in a small ballpark. Akiyama could hit 20 to 30 homers. He could steal you 15 to 20 bags. These Korean, Japanese players, Sometimes they're crapshoots. My one buddy Seth and I always joke around about Byung Ho Park. He was supposed to be the next big thing, right? Where is he now? I tend to think both of these guys pan out. So, Chaps Fantasy Chat, Tuesday nights at 7. Thank you guys so much for being here. Next week, I'm going to talk about some veterans who are being undervalued, right? Right in line with what we're talking about tonight. And this is all coming from the perspective of gaining advantage when all this shit starts back up. Having thought about these things holistically. Because what's going to happen is these ADPs are going to stay relatively the same. But if you've pondered upon it and thought about it, you can really develop a good team. And I just think some of these guys are undervalued. All of these guys are undervalued, right? So next week we'll talk about some veterans, some guys that are going unnoticed or undernoticed. And I just want to say I really appreciate you guys. Got a big chat room tonight. Thank you all for your support. Doug Boyle, thanks for coming by, brother. I really appreciate it. Dave Craig, thanks for your support. George Hubschman, the legend, you are great. Lenny Melnick, my biggest supporter. I can't say enough for all you do for me. I really do appreciate you. Meckard, Mech's in one of my leagues. I really appreciate Mech. Thanks for being a part of this. Taco, you guys are great on Tuesday nights. If you don't listen to Taco and King Hap on Tuesday nights, no, I'm on Wednesday nights, you're missing out. Guess Maddie, thanks for coming. Missed a couple guys. Andrea, again, Andrea and I were in a heated discussion this morning. It's funny because politics are so divisive. But I really appreciate that, Andy and I are able to discuss it and move past it and still be friends. So thank you. Andy puts in so much hard work for this station. It is unbelievable the things she does. So thanks, Andy, for everything you do. And D Amazins, thanks for coming. I've seen you the last couple weeks. I really appreciate you coming by. I hope you're enjoying the content. I love you all. You guys are my release. You're my escape. I always feel better on Tuesday nights after I do this. All this shit that we go through in this world these days. We're going to get back to baseball soon. And I can't wait to talk about that, right? But until then, we're going to try and improve. Because that's what life's all about. Until then, remember, pick your brother up. It doesn't matter what party line you're on. We're all Americans. Let's be friends. Let's figure this shit out together. Chat's Fantasy Chat, Tuesday nights at 7. Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com. Thank you all. I'll see you all soon. Be safe. Take care.